Hello, everyone, and welcome to our literary talk show. And today, we're going to explore one of the most famous short stories in American literature, The Story of an Hour, written by Kate Chopin in the late 19th century. The story centers on Louise Mallard, a woman who is told that her husband has died in a train accident. When she is alone in her room, she experiences an emotional awakening. She realizes that she finally free. But this moment of joy has raised much debate. Is Louis' freedom genuine, or is it simply a sign of selfishness and moral weakness? That is our debate topic for today. Is Louise Mallard truly free or just selfish? Alright, and let me summarize the story first. The whole story takes place within one single hour. At first, Louise reacts with deep sorrow to her husband's death. But soon she begins to feel an overwhelming sense of relief and happiness. The life ahead will belong entirely to her. However, when her husband unexpectedly returns home alive, Louise dies immediately. The doctor says she died of the joy that kills. But all the readers understand that she dies because her brief moment of freedom has been taken away. In joining our talk show today are two guests who represent two completely different perspectives. This is Minh, the supporter. She believes that Louise Mallard is truly free because she awakens to her own independence. And this is the opponent, Yi. She thinks that Louise Mallard is not truly free because her sense of freedom is only an illusion. So, which side is right? Let's begin the debate and find out. And now, let's move to round 1, Louise's joy. In this round, we'll discuss Louise's first emotional reaction after hearing about her husband's death. At the beginning, we see her weeping with sudden wild abandonment, which seems like natural grief. But very soon, her emotions change. She begins to whisper the word, free, free, free. The question is this joy a sign of emotional awakening and liberation, or does it reveal selfishness and a lack of empathy toward her husband? And now, let's hear this first from the supporter. Minh, please.
Thank you. I believe that Louise Mallard is experiencing true emotional freedom. After hearing her husband's death, she first was in grief, but then something awakens inside her. The text says there was a dew stare in her eyes, whose gaze was fixed away off yonder on one of those patches of blue sky. That patch of blue sky symbolizes hope, a new beginning. And when she whispered, free, 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 Chopin shows up a woman realizing her individuality for the first time. I think it's not that she celebrates that, she celebrates self-discovery. For that brief moment, she belongs to herself, not to anyone else.
Okay, and thank you for your points. And now I want to hear your opinions, the opponent.
So personally, I don't see Louise's reaction as liberation. I see it as selfish and emotional instability. Just imagine, her husband had just died, and yet only a few minutes later, she's whispering, free body and soul free. That's not emotional awakening, that's indifference. And yes, perhaps she felt trapped, but that doesn't justify feeling joy over someone's death. Remember the line, she wept at once with sudden wild abandonment. That's not calm reflection, that's uncontrolled emotion. So her reaction doesn't represent courage or freedom, it exposes the weakness of a woman who mistakes belief and imagination for the true liberation.
Okay, so thank you all for both sides for the insightful discussion in this round. Okay, now let's move to round 2, the meaning of freedom in the story of an hour. And in this part, we'll explore what Louis Mallet's sense of freedom truly represents. When we whisper free, 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 is she experiencing real liberation? Or is a symbol of woman breaking free from patriarchal control? Or is her freedom just an illusion born from shock and imagination? And in this round, I want to hear from the opponent first.
Okay, so I get that some people see Louis's feelings as symbolic, like a rebellion against patriarchy or a cry for independence. But honestly, let's be realistic here. Her freedom exists only in her imagination. She doesn't do anything. She doesn't act. She doesn't talk to anyone, and she doesn't make any single real decision. And Chopin even realized there would be no one to live for her during those coming years. She would live for herself. That's not action, that's fantasy. But real freedom isn't about whispering the word free to yourself in an empty room, and it's about having courage to live differently and to take control. So when she looks out that open window and sees the tops of trees all afire with a new spring light, she's not actually becoming free. She's projecting her wish onto the world, imagining a freedom that doesn't really exist. And that the moment her husband walks back in, everything collapses. Her so-called liberation disappears in an instant, and which proves it was never real in the first place.
So, and how about you as a supporter?
I think that very imagination is what makes her revolutionary. When she said there would be no one to live for her during those coming years, she didn't live for herself. Louis finally envisioned her life where a woman belongs to herself and her or in her life. And even if it's in her mind, that thought is an act of rebellion. In the late of, or maybe in the late of 1800s, women were expected to serve their husband. So I think by imagining freedom, Louis challenges the patriarchy in silence, and that makes her brave, not delusional.
So, interesting contrast. And let me ask both of you a question. So, Louis' freedom only lasted for only 1 hour. So, does this meaningful or is this nonsense? So, the supporter, what did you think?
I would say yes. Even in a single hour of freedom can change a lifetime of silence. Chopin writes that what could love, the insult mystery, count for in the face of this position of self-assertion. And that line shows how strong her realization is so deep, and this overpowers the love itself, and the brevity of the moment doesn't weaken. It makes it precious.
Okay, get the point. And how about you?
I cannot agree with that at all, because if her freedom disappears the moment her husband walks out through the door, then it was never real freedom to begin with. So Chopin writes, someone was opening in the front door with a latch key, and just like that, everything ends. I mean, yes, real independence doesn't vanish with a sound, it endures. And true freedom isn't something you just feel for a moment, and it's something you live in. So Louis's so-called liberation was fractal, and built on emotion, not strength.
Okay, so I really love most of your arguments. And now let's discover what we're going to discuss in round 3. Alright, and now we've moved on to the most dramatic and symbolic moment of the story, Louis' death. When her husband walks through the door alive and unharmed, Louis suddenly collapsed and died. The doctor says she died of the heart disease, that is, a joy that kills. But was this really a joy that killed her, or the shock of losing her newfound freedom? In this round, we'll discuss what the death truly meant. Is it a tragic symbol of how society destroyed a woman's individuality or a moral punishment for her selfish thoughts about freedom? And first, let's hear from the supporter. What do you think about her death?
I see this as the final act of liberation. When her husband returns to life, she dies of heart failure. The doctor says it was the joy that kills, but we, the readers, know its irony. Louise died not from happiness, but from the further shock of having her self-ownership revoked. Her heart would have just been revitalized by a clear and distorted perception of autonomous future. For a life for herself could not withstand the instantaneous return to the key of social duty. In this profound, symbolic act that's become her final escape. If the patriarchal structure forbids her from living freely, she will, by rejecting the return to servitude, then free. This makes her demise the ultimate definitive form of self-liberation, an irreversible act of rebellion against the constraint of her time.
Thank you, supporter. And now let's move to the opponent. What do you think? Do you think it's a punishment for prioritizing her personal freedom over love and morality?
I don't see Lewis's death as liberation at all. It's not society that kills her, it's her own emotional weakness. Chopin hints early on that she has a heart trouble, and foreshadowing her fragility and her emotions swing from grief to joy, then to sorrow, extremes no one can survive. The doctors call it the joy that kills, and in a way, they are right. And she couldn't handle reality, neither her husband's death nor his return. So her death isn't rebellion, it's collapse. And instead of a symbol of oppression, she becomes a warning about what happens when emotion overpowers reason, and a tragic example of how false liberation leads to destruction.
All right. So I really love your insights. So round 3 reminds us that Louise's death can be read in multiple ways, as for liberation, denied, and moral consequence. This complexity is what makes the story of an hour so powerful and timeless. Okay, we're almost coming to the end of this talk show. So overall, what do you think about Louise Mallard and the story of an hour by Kate Chopin? The supporter first, please.
Well, I personally believe the story of an hour isn't a story about selfishness. It's really about awakening. When Louise whispers, free, 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 that's not just excitement, but the sound of a woman finally realizing who she is. In that short hour, she experiences something most women of her time could only dream of, the feeling of living for herself. And yes, this only lasts for a moment, but that doesn't mean make it last real. For her, that 1 hour of freedom means more than a lifetime of quiet obedience. Even in death, Louise is free, not because she ran away from life, but because she finally understood what it means to live for herself.
Alright, so how about you, the opponent?
So, in conclusion, I strongly believe that Louise Mallard wasn't truly free. What she experienced wasn't liberation. It was an emotional illusion that lasted less than an hour. Yes, she felt something powerful, but it was a strength. It was short, mixed with confusion, and real freedom doesn't crumble the moment reality returns. So, if Louise were truly independent, she would have found meaning beyond her husband's presence. But instead, her entire sense of freedom depended on his supposed death, and the second he walked in, her dream vanished. So, and yes, so did she. That isn't empowerment, that fragility. So let's be honest, Chopin doesn't celebrate Louise's freedom. She exposes its weakness. And Louise doesn't fight, she escapes, she doesn't grow, she's bright. So that's why her story ends with not victory, but with tragedy. So in the end, the story of an hour doesn't show a woman gaining freedom. It shows how dangerous it is when we mistake momentary emotion for true independence. And Louise Mallard wasn't free. She was only free for a heartbeat, and that heartbeat cost her life. And that's my point.
So, overall, today's debate shows the story of an hour was just not about one woman with joy. It's about a complex relationship between love, marriage, and freedom in a society that limits women's choices. Louise Mallard's hours of freedom may be short, but it continues to make readers question what true happiness and independence really means. Thank you everyone and for watching our debate, and thank you to both the supporter and the opponents for your insightful perspectives. We hope these discussions help you to see how a short story can reveal such deep emotions and social ideas. And that's all for today's session. See you next time!